Before we go into this reading, I want to take a breath with all of you for just a moment. To everyone who keeps showing up in this space, who leaves comments, who shares what resonates, who comes back even when life is heavy and the waiting feels endless, I see you. I truly do. And to those who are here for the first time today, welcome. You arrived at exactly the right moment. Something in you knew to be here right now, and I want you to trust that knowing completely. Now let us go into what is waiting for you, because today the energy is different. Today something is opening. I want you to stop for a second. Just stop, because something is coming toward you and I need you to be still enough to feel it before it arrives. There is a movement in your energy field right now, a gentle but unmistakable shift, like the first change in air pressure before something beautiful breaks open. And if you have been in a long season of waiting, of holding on, of waking up and choosing to believe again, even when the evidence felt thin, this reading is for you. This one specifically is for you. Let me tell you what I am looking at. There is a scene in front of me, and the quality of light in it is unlike anything I have described in recent readings. I see two figures, and they are moving toward each other, not rushing, not desperate, moving with the particular kind of intention that only comes when someone has made a decision from a very deep place inside themselves. One of these figures has something in their hands, a single rose, stem long, bloom full, not yet completely open, but on the absolute edge of opening. And the way this figure is holding it, it is not casual. It is not an afterthought. There is a reverence in the gesture, a consciousness around what is being offered and to whom. The other figure in this scene is you. And what I want you to notice, what strikes me immediately when I look at this image, is your posture. You are not reaching forward anxiously. You are not shrinking back in disbelief. You are simply standing, rooted, present, as though some part of you, even after everything, even after all the waiting and the doubting and the nights where you wondered if you had been wrong to hold on, some part of you always knew this moment was coming. Let me talk about the waiting, because I think it deserves to be spoken about directly before we go any further. You have been patient in a way that has cost you something real. This was not the effortless patience of someone who simply did not care much either way. This was the hard kind. The kind where you cared enormously, where the thing you were waiting for mattered deeply, and you chose to keep believing in it anyway. Day after day, through moments of doubt that were sometimes quiet and sometimes overwhelming, through watching other people seem to receive easily what felt just out of reach for you, through well-meaning people around you who perhaps suggested you were waiting for something that was not coming. You kept the faith anyway. And I want to say something about that before anything else in this reading. That was not naivety. That was not stubbornness or an inability to let go of something that was not real. That was a form of spiritual intelligence that most people do not give you credit for, because it does not look impressive from the outside. Waiting with integrity, holding space for something without grasping it, staying open without becoming desperate, that requires an extraordinary kind of inner strength, and you have been exercising it. There is another image coming forward, and this one expands what I was beginning to see. I see a garden, and in this garden, things are blooming that were planted a long time ago, not recently, not in the last few weeks or months. These are roots that went deep, that survived seasons that were not hospitable, that held on through conditions that should have discouraged growth. And now, in this image, the blooming is happening all at once, not one flower, not tentatively, fully, abundantly, with a generosity that almost does not seem proportionate to how modest the planting once looked. This is what your life is moving into, a season of arrival, of things that were seated in faith, sometimes in tears, sometimes in the quiet stubbornness of someone who refuses to stop believing in their own worth, beginning to bloom in ways that are going to surprise even you. And at the center of this garden, walking towards you through everything that is opening and coming alive, there is a person. Let me describe what I feel from this person's energy, because it is specific, and I think you need to hear it in detail. This is not someone who stumbled into your orbit carelessly. This is not someone who is half present, 1 foot in and 1 foot out, offering you the scraps of an attention divided between you and 12 other things. The quality of what is moving in their direction toward you carries a weight that I can only describe as readiness. They have arrived at something within themselves, a clarity, a decision that comes not from impulse, but from a process they have been moving through, perhaps without you fully knowing it was happening. And what they have decided, what they are moving towards you to express, is something you have needed to receive for longer than you want to admit. Full presence, full intention, full recognition of who you are and what you bring. Not a partial version, not a conditional version, not the version where they are mostly there, but some essential part of them is still held back, still hedging, still protecting itself at the expense of what could be between you. All of them, coming toward you with all of them. I see something else in the imagery now that I want to name because it feels significant. There is a cup, large, golden, filled to the absolute brim, and from the very top of this cup, something extraordinary is happening. It is overflowing, not spilling in a way that suggests waste or excess, overflowing in the way that only happens when something has been filled so completely that it has no choice but to give outward, and the overflow is moving in your direction. What this image is telling me is that what is coming to you is not coming from a place of scarcity in the other person. It is not someone offering you what little they have left over after they have attended to everything else. What is coming from fullness, from someone who has done enough of their own work, their own healing, their own becoming, that they now have something genuinely substantial to bring. And they are bringing it to you. Now I want to shift for a moment because this reading is not only about another person. It never is with Virgo. Because even as I see this figure moving toward you through the garden, even as I see the cup overflowing and the rose held with reverence, there is a parallel unfolding happening in your own life that has nothing to do with another person and everything to do with you. I see a door, and it is not a door I have seen before in any recent reading. This door is wide, almost unusually wide, as though it was built for something large to pass through it. And it is open. Not ajar, not cracked just enough to peer through. Open completely, fully, with a quality of invitation that feels almost like it has been waiting for you to simply notice it and walk toward it. Behind this door, I see recognition, professional, creative, practical recognition, the kind that comes when the world finally catches up to what you have been doing quietly, with integrity, without needing external validation to keep going. An opportunity, a confirmation, a moment of visible arrival in an area of your life where you have been working and hoping and wondering when the return would come. It is here. It is standing right behind that door. And the extraordinary thing about this moment, the thing that makes it feel so significant in the images in front of me, is that the romantic arrival and this practical arrival are happening in the same energetic window, as though one was waiting for the other, as though the alignment in your personal life was always connected to the alignment in your larger life, and both were waiting for you to reach the same internal threshold. You reached it. I do not know exactly when. I do not know which specific choice or which specific moment of courage or surrender tipped the balance, but the images are clear. Something shifted in you. Something settled. Some final layer of self-doubt or self-abandonment, or the quiet habit of placing everyone else's comfort above your own truth. Something released, and the universe felt it immediately. Let me ask you something, and I genuinely want you to sit with this before you answer, even in your own mind. Have you noticed something different in yourself recently? Not dramatic, not a lightning bolt moment of transformation, something quieter than that. A morning where you woke up and the weight felt slightly less. A conversation where you said something true without immediately bracing for the consequences. A moment where you caught yourself smiling at something small and realized you meant it completely. Has that been happening? Because what I am describing is not coincidence. It is the internal shift that precedes everything I have been describing in these images. The blooming garden, the figure approaching with intention, the wide open door, all of it follows from something that already moved in you. Tell me in the comments. I want to know if you have felt that shift, even in the smallest form, even just once. Let me know. I want to speak now to those of you who had almost convinced yourself to stop waiting, who were this close to deciding that what you had been holding space for was simply not going to arrive, who had started the internal negotiation of how to want something different, something smaller, something you were more certain you could actually have. Stay, please, just stay with what you know is true for you, because the timing of what I am seeing in front of me is not vague or distant. The energy is immediate. It has the quality of something that is already in motion, already on its way, already closer than your doubt has been telling you. And the greatest risk right now, the thing I most want to protect you from, is the possibility of stepping out of alignment with what you actually want at precisely the moment it is arriving. Sometimes we close the door we have been standing at just before it opens from the other side. Do not close this one. There is a final image I want to describe because it is the one that has stayed with me most consistently throughout this entire reading, and I think it carries something essential. I see two hands, just hands, no faces, no full figures, two hands reaching toward each other across a small but meaningful space, and they are almost touching. The fingertips are close enough that the space between them feels charged, alive, like the moment just before something that has been building for a long time finally completes itself. And what I feel from this image is not urgency, it is inevitability. The sense that this closing of distance is not in question. It is not dependent on perfect circumstances or perfect timing or anyone being perfect in the way they show up. It is simply the natural conclusion of two things that were always moving toward each other, finally arriving at the moment where the distance between them closes completely. That is the energy that surrounds you right now. Virgo, I want to tell you something directly as we come toward the close of this reading. You deserve this, not as a consolation not as encouragement designed to make you feel better in a difficult moment, as a straightforward, clear-eyed statement of truth. The version of you that held on through the seasons, that gave you very little to hold on to, that continued to show up with integrity when a smaller version of yourself could have justified bitterness, that kept the standard even when no one around you was honoring that standard. That version of you deserves exactly what is coming. The love that sees you fully, the recognition that reflects back what you have actually been building, the arrival of things you planted in faith long before they gave any visible sign of growing. All of it. You do not need to earn it further. You do not need to prepare for it more. You do not need to become anything other than the version of yourself you have already worked so hard and so quietly to become. You just need to receive it. And that, for a Virgo, is sometimes the hardest part. Receiving, allowing, letting something good arrive without immediately questioning whether you deserve it, without scanning it for the catch, without bracing for the moment it gets taken away. Just opening your hands and letting what is being placed in them actually land. That is your practice right now. Not more effort, not more patience, not more becoming, just openness, just the willingness to let this be real, because it is real. What is moving towards you is real. The person, the opening, the season of arrival that these images have been describing from the very first moment of this reading, it is not a possibility. It is not maybe if you do everything right. It is already in motion, and it has your name on it. If something in this reading touched you today, if you felt it somewhere specific in your chest, in the part of you that has been quietly waiting and hoping, please leave me a comment. Tell me what landed. Tell me what you have been waiting for. Tell me if you felt the shift I described, even in the smallest way. This community is built in what we share here. And every one of you who shows up and lets themselves be seen in the comments makes this space more real, more alive, more worth coming back to. Thank you for being here. Congratulations, Virgo. Your season is opening.